Hi everyone, SkyRibbonStuff here, and I'm here to give you some drawing tips on fashion design. Now, fashion design is something I like to consider a lot in my personal artwork, and I want to share with you the tips and tricks I use to help you make eye-catching characters. These tips work for designing a character for a story idea you may have in your head, or just making a picture where you want the person you're drawing to look really cool. So let's get started. So say you're making an illustration with some characters and you have no idea how to dress them. It's important to consider three key ideas: aesthetic, practicality, and personality. Let's talk aesthetic first. Aesthetic is just the very basic look or vibe you want your character to give off. Are they friendly or shy? Do they want to draw people in with what they're wearing, or do they want to be invisible and ignored? For my picture, I'm drawing two teens who I want to come off as trendy and cool, with a hint of odd and eccentric. Aesthetic also involves considering the setting for your character as well. Try asking yourself, where can I imagine my character living? Even if you're not drawing them in a physical space, thinking about where your character could exist can help you come up with basic outfit ideas. I imagine these characters would look good on an urban street or in a high school. Now for practicality. Practicality is choosing what styles of clothing make sense for your characters based on the aesthetic you've chosen. For example, if you're drawing a character who's a traveler, he should probably have on some durable walking shoes versus flip-flops or ballet slippers. In this picture, I'm drawing these two teens in Asian street fashion, so it makes sense for them to wear clothes that are both baggy and form-fitting with fun, bright colors. The last thing to consider is personality. Personality is thinking about how your character's outfit can tell a story. What condition are your character's clothes in? Are they worn out and dingy, or clean and pristine? Accessories like jewelry can also serve as a great storytelling tool. I gave the two characters here matching necklaces to imply that they're close, either best friends or dating. Also consider how your characters wear things too. For example, I drew the female character here with her jacket off her shoulders and her shoes untied to imply that she might be a little messy or immature. I'm also adding a few quirks here and there to make them look extra odd, like putting colored knee pads on the boy's pants, making the hood of his sweater a different color than the rest of it, and putting hearts inside the girl's cat ears. Now I'm adding another mini story with this made-up character on the girl's jacket and the boy's keychain. This character could be the logo of a fashion brand they're wearing, or from a TV show they both like. And with that, they are done. Two trendy teenagers. Now let's get more into the character designing aspect of fashion design. So say you have a story idea in your head along with some characters, but you want them to look more unique and compelling. I already spoke on the importance of aesthetic, practicality, and personality, but I'm going to go a little deeper on these concepts. Here I'm drawing two characters. One is an evil Victorian-style warrior queen, while the other will be a good-hearted swordsman prince. I'm going to demonstrate how to use shape language to highlight their personalities. So how can I make this Victorian queen look evil with the shapes of her dress? Well, typically, dangerous characters are associated with sharp, angular shapes like triangles. I really exaggerated this with the princess by making every edge of her, even her hair, look extremely painful to touch because I want her to come off as violent. Another technique I'm using to make her look even sharper is extending the line art of her sharp edges further so that they look extra pointy. I also want to add some contrast to her design, so there are a few curves in her silhouette, like the curved part of her double-edged blade. Now for the swordsman. How can we make the prince look like someone who fights for good? Usually round shapes are associated with softness or friendliness. Here I'm rounding out the edges of his hair and outfit to make him look way less dangerous than the queen. I do want to imply, though, that he is strong, so I'm using a few sharp shapes in his outfit, like on the blade of his weapon and his shoulder pads. And now let's talk color. I'm going to use the same three colors, blue, yellow, and orange, to demonstrate how any colors can make a person look good or evil if you use them the right way. Most good character designs use a color scheme that involves one central color and at least 2 or 3 supporting colors. So when coloring your character, ask yourself, where do I want the viewer's eyes to be drawn to first? I wanted the queen's color scheme to be mostly orange, as it's the most violent color in the 3 I chose, so I made sure that her sharp dress and hair would be bright orange. Also remember that bad characters are associated with dark or bleak desaturated colors. I made the blues on the queen's dress very dark. The underside of her dress almost looks black. I also used very pale blues and yellows on her skin, gloves, and collar to make some nice contrast. And just another side tip, when you're forming color palettes for your characters, you could try making little simplified versions of them like I did here. I find this a little more helpful than making a bunch of color swatches that are kind of hard to interpret quickly. For the brave and noble swordsman, I wanted to use very bright colors because they are friendly and inviting. I'm using blue and orange as his two main colors and using yellow as an accent on the rims of his clothing and little highlights in his hair. And we are done with our evil and good characters. It's pretty easy to tell who's who. Well, that's everything I have to say on fashion design. The final piece of advice I have for you is to remember that when you're drawing, things may not come perfectly on the first try, so don't beat yourself up if you struggle a bit. It took me multiple tries to finalize any of the designs I used in this video. I hope this advice helps you out, and happy drawing! Bye!